Hello and welcome to Grand Prix Atlanta. I'm Randy Bueller, joined by Zach Hill. We're getting ready to watch the semifinal match between William Jensen and John Stern. Huey's been on top of this tournament the whole way. He'd love to get another Grand Prix win to go with the 3 that he's already got here in his 15th top 8. John Stern playing in his 5th Grand Prix top 8, looking for win number 2.
And when it comes to 2 drops, I think Kiora's follower, big upgrade over Flesh Mad Steed. So
Indeed.
John's starting this game outright, accelerating his mana, great power to toughness ratio on the board, makes combat tricky. Wow, and able to get in for 3 points of damage out the start while brick walling that Steed. Can't ask for a better start from Stern's side.
Courser, not bad. Both players have pretty good curves. 2 drop into 3 drop.
Yeah, if Jern has another enchantment, he'll be able to attack with the 2/3. Got 5 mana this turn. Already can cast Fleet Feather Cockatrice. No particularly burning need to be aggressive. He's got the horse held back. Nessie and Courser just hit the battlefield, so Stern has a lot of options right now.
Ships the turn. That's scary.
It's horrifying. Yeah, you've got Cockatrice that could come down. You've got a Hippocamp that could add to the pressure. You've got any number of combat tricks. Is this a missed land drop for Huey, or?
Yeah, Grizzly transformation. That's not bad.
It allows that horse to start getting through the blockers.
It does. Interesting that he goes for Flesh Mad Steed. Oh, well, Nessie and Courser giving that Intimidate. Not nearly as good.
Right,
blocked
yeah.
by green creatures.
I think old school players, it's easy to think of Intimidate as fear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was my initial reaction, but
Wait, Stern had no plays on Huey's turn.
Huh.
Wow, would not have intuited that. With access to 6 mana, you have to expect something good coming down. And
how about Golden Hide Ox?
a good old Ox. And he's able to pump something with the Dryads. Yep.
And he's able to say must block, right?
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a 3/4 that must be blocked.
That was huge.
Yes.
The Constellation ability is really working together. I think we were trying to parse together what was going on, or at least I was. But that is that's basically a Flame Tongue Ox. That's enters the battlefield and for all intents and purposes just kills Nessie and Courser. It's a big swing that turn.
Lash of the Whip. Huey wants that off the battlefield before Stern gets to untap, potentially save it.
But this is a pretty good position for Stern now. Huey tapped out only with a 2/2 creature. Not bad. 2/2 unblockable. Will be a threat if the game goes long, but Stern at a healthy 16 with a lot of power on the battlefield and a lot of mana on tap.
Humbler of Mortals. Trigger. Trample, not quite as exciting here as must be blocked.
Right.
But the +1/+1 is still nice. Hits him for 5.
And of course, having a 5/5 creature, it means it doesn't get killed by doesn't get killed by Lash of the Web. Only 1 turn to asphyxiate it, and Jensen on a single black mana. Jensen kind of in a bind here. You know, being able to attack for 2 doesn't really get him anywhere, and he's facing down 9 points of damage, potentially 10 with an enchantment. Needs to put something together fast.
Yes. This is a tough board for Huey. Yeah, Disciple of Phoenix. He's at least going to learn something next game. Oh, jeez. He's a hubris. Tessano Sworn, not all that exciting here, but having to somehow stabilize this board through that hubris is even harder.
Yeah, I think you have to take hubris here and just hope that John doesn't draw any way to make that Oathsworn particularly good.
That definitely seems
you're
like
already way behind if you're Huey. So I mean, hubris is just gonna end the game by getting rid of one of your blockers. So. And yeah,
Interestingly, by the way, these players do not have each other's deck lists.
Really?
Yeah, no, the head judge made the decision that he wanted to sequester all the players for the entire top 8. So they all turned their phones off when they sat down to draft, and they've not been allowed, anytime any of them wandered away from their feature match area, they've been escorted by a judge.
Oh, wow.
Haven't been able to talk to their friends, haven't been able to check Twitter. If any of you guys are wondering why your buddy's not acknowledging your good luck wish, that's part of what's going on. So yeah, they do not have deck lists. This is just good old-fashioned booster draft.
And I mean, that's interesting in an environment, you know, where coverage is ubiquitous as it is. I mean, having to kind of discover what your opponent has as you go just totally changes the dynamic of the draft. But, I mean, John, thinking right now, has several options. But, I mean, the operative thing that's going to happen is going to be a big attack here. The Humbler Immortals, you can only survive that thing hitting you for a few turns. See his cards face down. We know the Oathsworn's going to hit the battlefield if he didn't draw anything else, but the question is just what he does pre-combat and how bad that is for Billy.
Yeah. Turn them all sideways. You can block one. I'm going to hit you for 7 with the others.
So we see 2 2-power creatures. Disciple can block one of them. Did Huey just take it?
I mean, what else is he going to do? He
Oh,
blocked one
okay,
of them
blocked.
and took
Yeah,
7.
that's what I assumed, so I just didn't see him move it, so.
Hypnotist was the draw phase. That and the Oathsworn joined the battlefield.
So I mean, I'm thinking what Huey could draw right now.
don't know.
Yeah, Extinguish All Hope is the obvious one, but
He
that
did
leaves
not draft
John with
one of
7
those.
power.
He also
You know,
didn't draft one.
And doesn't have it in his deck. That's kind of, yeah, another relevant variable.
Yeah, I don't know what he's supposed to draw.
This
He's not scooping his cards up, so he doesn't think he's completely dead.
Gray Merchant, I suppose, could give him some. I mean, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To help him survive.
Yeah, I mean, it buys him a turn. I'm not sure.
We can attack for 2 with a horse, getting John to 12. 6 would take him to 6, but yeah, I mean, that's still not in wonderful shape. I mean, you know, Huey's been playing cards like essentially every turn of the game, but Stern's start is just unbelievable.
Huey's actually only played 5 spells. Spell's not that good.
What's, I mean, it's only like turn, what, 6?
Turn 7.
7? Sure. I mean, John's played 6 spells. They've been quite a bit larger, though.
Fair enough.
But, Huey playing a land, he's definitely got something active to do.
That looks like Gray Merchant. Yep. Gray Merchant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's going to attack, yeah. So Stern winds up at 6. I don't know how Huey's gonna do this last 6 though. Not clear that all that much of his board survives this turn.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6,
What
7. There's 12 power on John Stern's side of the board currently. He was empty-handed, so he's got just the card off the top of his deck.
So I'm looking at Huey's deck. He could theoretically block with Gray Merchant, draw Farika's Mender and get it back.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough mana to cast it though.
Yeah, can't cast it in the same turn, so that means he's got to somehow survive 2 attacks. I mean, not looking great for Huey. I don't even know if that's viably an out.
Yeah.
It's a line, at least.
Yeah.
Trying to pour through Huey's deck list to see what else there is. If he can bestow Spiteful Return on the horse next turn, that's 1, 2, 3, that's 5. It's almost there.
Well, that horse is going to get pinned to the earth.
Oh, okay.
John Stern has seen enough of the intimidating Flesh Mad Seed.
Does not want to fall victim to horse death by horse.
That also triggers Humbler Immortals.
Very relevantly.
Indeed. Yeah, now chump blocks are not nearly as exciting. He's attacking with just the Humbler.
So I still think you block with
Block with Gray Merchant,
Gray
take
Merchant.
1 trample damage, and get the Gray Merchant into your graveyard where you're that much closer to recycling it.
I think that's what you have to do. Next turn, you hope John doesn't have an enchantment. You can block Humbler. That's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, I mean, you could theoretically do it. You've still got Disciple back if you need to. And it looks like there's one card in Huey's hand over there. Is
Yep.
that card? Yeah.
Yeah, the 1-3 and the 2-4 are doing a good job at holding off quad weenies.
Yeah, it is a lot of toughness. But it looks like he just takes it.
Okay.
So, I mean, not nearly as bad a turn as we were thinking we could see for Huey. Not being able to trigger the Oathsworn or... Well, I guess he was able to trigger the Dryads, just wasn't able to accomplish anything. The pin to the earth, stopping the horse.
Huey took 6 there, because the Humbler not only got trampled, it also got the Dryad +1/+1. I think Huey, by keeping the Gray Merchant alive an extra turn, gives himself... I mean, it can spend another turn holding off all the 2-1s and 2-2s.
Right. Gives him essentially 2 turns to draw Mender.
Yeah, I think so.
Or just flood the board with permanents. I mean,
yeah, I don't know what's in his hand.
Certainly 5 is precarious, though, when your opponent can get the trample half of Overrun, and as a creature, it's bigger than all of your creatures.
Fleshmad Steed gets the block now, though.
That's a good point. And again, without an enchantment, that's essentially a free block for Jensen.
All right, what do we got? Oh, Spiteful Return.
Oh, man. Yeah,
on the Fleshmad Steed. It has been pinned to the earth, but he can still attack and trigger the Spiteful Return.
Yeah, so that's a 3-turn clock for Stern.
Yeah, that too happens. And Bloodcraze Hoplite. So 3 blockers against 5 potential attackers.
With Huey at 5.
Stern takes the 2 from the Spiteful Returned, and Fleshmad doesn't deal anything else.
So that means that if all John does is attack with Humbler of Mortals, that gives Billy 4 attackers to 4 blockers from Stern. Kiora's Follower, of course, could untap the Humbler of Mortals, but it would have to tap in order to do so.
Yep. Stern trying to figure out how much he can attack with. I don't think he has a... I mean, barring a relevant spell, his Alpha Strike is not lethal.
Right.
There's 3 blockers. So,
that means
one of them will block Humbler.
Right.
And you need to hit with 3 of the other creatures. Huey would take the Oathsworn, take a 2-power guy, block the other 2.
Yeah, Stern's attack just not a great attack for him.
Yeah, I mean, trample on the Humbler would be very good.
Yes.
Targeting the Oathsworn would be very good. Now any 2 unblocked guys gets through, which he can make. All right. In.
Huh.
Stern shoves his chips in the middle of the table.
So you have to assume that Stern has something here.
I mean, if he has something, he just wins.
Right. Unless he's bluffing and trying to get Huey to make a bad block or something, but I think there's only one set of blocks he can make.
Well, no, there's more than one. He has to decide whether he's going to take the Oathsworn. Like, Huey can let 2-power guys hit him and block the Oathsworn to try to pick it off, like with Disciple.
Right.
Alternately, but I mean, Disciple in front of Hypnotist just looks perfect.
Right.
Right, Disciple in front of Hypnotist looks perfect. Gray Merchant in front of something, maybe Hoplite chumps Humbler. I mean, Huey has to worry about, are there instant speed enchantments? There's no instant speed enchantment happening, right? The Constellation stuff's irrelevant?
Not that I can think of. I mean,
Not that's in John's deck. I mean, they exist in the format, but I don't think John has any.
The thing is, any pump spell kills you, so the only thing that is different is like a Retraction Helix on the Oathsworn that wouldn't pump it ordinarily, but could target the... I'm sorry, I guess a Crypsis.
All right, Huey looks like he's willing to take 4. Loses Hoplite to the Humbler. Eat the Oathsworn and the Hypnotist. I mean, Grey Merchant has its choice. It could eat the Kior's Follower instead of the Hypnotist, but I mean, Hypnotist Inspired ability isn't completely irrelevant.
No, not at all. So, I mean, what does Stern have? I mean, if Stern had a Crypsis, he would just cast it on the Humbler of Mortals and just attack.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's what he has. Something like Triton Tactics would be very powerful here, allowing the...
Yeah, he needs one more power. Like any plus power trick, Huey with this set of blocks is willing to take 4. He's taking Kior's Follower, and he's taking up at the top of the screen underneath our semifinals logo, there's a Oakenheart Dryad.
So, I mean, I think if Stern just had a pump spell that ended the game, he would just cast it. So I'm trying to think of the...
Well, I'm not sure Huey has committed to these blocks.
Got you.
I believe Huey is lined them up tentatively. You see his hands on his temple.
Yeah.
He has not committed. He's still touching the piece. Yeah, all right. He says, you got it? Show me what you got.
Oh, wow.
Breaching Hippocamp. What does that do? Untaps Hypnotist so that the Hypnotist survives. It's not lethal, though. But it does keep the Hypnotist alive. Interesting.
So now he has two
Huey
blockers.
taps the top of his deck. Huey taps the top of his deck. There's 2 blockers. We know he can deal 2. He needs to clear a path or a bestow creature. I mean, enchanting the Steed is the best way.
But the Steed
Clearing a blocker is not good enough because the Disciple would only hit for 1.
Yeah, and the Steed has -3 power still, I think.
Yeah,
so
killing Pinder Earth, enchantment removal would do it.
Yes. That is exactly what would do it. And looking at Huey's deck list, he's got... Oh, he has Noble Quarry, which he could put on Disciple of Phoenix.
Yeah, Noble Quarry would do it. Yeah, Grey Merchant would get through for the other 2 points. He can't survive another attack, though, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attackers, and he has 3 blockers and whatever card he just drew. So there's no way he's surviving an attack.
And a removal spell doesn't do it either because he just blocks Grey Merchant, falls to 1.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a pretty epic match.
Yeah, no, Huey found a line that got him much closer to winning this game than I expected.
Yeah, we were sitting here thinking the game was basically over. We knew he needed to draw Grey Merchant and Spiteful Return. He did draw what he needed to do.
Yeah.
Stern with a less big attack than I think we thought. We may not have gone through the exact combat, but Huey just had more time, so it definitely has outs, depending on what he drew here. Yeah, I mean, 1 more blocker doesn't do it.
Huey ships the turn. Stern draws a Forest. No idea if Huey has anything relevant in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, barring something, I mean, Stern doesn't know what Huey has.
Yeah, they've not seen deck lists, so, I mean, are there cards in the format that could save Huey here? Yeah, there's got to be.
I mean, there's like Silence the Believers, but I think you would have just cast it on your turn and just killed John. You could have, is there a fog?
John taps them all sideways. Good enough.
Wow.
Wow, close game.
I don't know how people do this weekend in, weekend out, man. It's bad for your blood pressure.
John Stern takes game 1. William Jensen put up a hell of a fight. I thought he was just dead round about turn 5, but he managed to get John Stern to effective 2, gave himself a top deck where there were a couple of cards that could have actually just won in the game.
Showcases the power of Grey Merchant of Asphodel. I mean, a 2/4 that also deals them 6, gains you 6. I mean, literally, that changes the tide of the game.
All right, looking in on the match between Saito and Murdoch, looks like Tomoharu Saito took game 1. So we can dual box shuffling.
I think Rich has a gimmick on the European coverage when this happens. It's called like the Shuffling Clown or something.
The Shuffling Clown.
Oh no, he explained it to me one time.
He says it's coming.
It's coming? Oh, we the American audience get to witness the joy that is
the Shuffling Clown?
Hagen gimmick. I can't wait. I wonder how many units of pride that's worth.
Won't have 20 left to pay me. Here's a look at the upcoming webcast schedule. Grand Prix Manchester is next weekend. Theros block constructed. A couple of standard GPs coming up in June. Moscow followed by Chicago. dueling limited GPs on the last weekend of June in DC and Milan. Then we'll be playing Modern in Boston the weekend before the last Pro Tour of the season, Pro Tour Magic 2015 in Portland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 GPs for all those pros who are chasing levels.
That's pretty good.
Chris Fennell is trying to figure out, all right, can I get 1 point for instant platinum?
Yeah, you have to
Huey
expect
may be trying to figure out, can I get an 8th top 8 to get like 2 more points?
It's bananas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have to expect all the amazing Magic that you've seen this weekend. You have to expect so many of those same players to be at these.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be at Washington, D.C. and Boston playing for a change. So we'll have to see if I've learned how to play limited Magic between now and then. But yeah, I mean, I would expect Chris to be hitting up, you know, almost all of these. I mean, the value of landing any
Instant
points
platinum, yeah,
is just so huge.
Yeah, and I know that here his 5th best GP finish was a top 64, so he had a 1 that he was upgrading, but now I don't know what his new 5th best is.
That's a good
point. Is it a 64? If it's a top 64 and all he needs to do is top 32 to win the extra 3,000 something, you go. I mean, you clearly go to Washington and Chicago, and you start eyeballing that Manchester flight. Like, you start checking prices on the international ones at that point.
It is fascinating the way tournaments work. We're like, all you have to do is top 32. Meanwhile, there's 1,500 people.
Yeah, no,
these things are top 5% of the event or whatever it is.
He's proven he's playing very good Magic right now.
One of the best in the country for sure.
Meanwhile, our Cinderella, Murdoch, is down a game here.
But it looks like Saito's mulliganing.
Well, that's good news for Charlie.
Saito's deck just looks so good, though. I mean, Charlie's got a reasonable little machine right here. He's got some hits. He's got a decent, solid mana curve. But Saito is just bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb.
Yeah. I gotta say, Saito is one man that loves Magic, too.
It's a man that, I mean, yeah, works at a Magic store
breathes,
for a living.
Sleeps.
And, you know, you talk to any Japanese Magic pro, they all talk about the lasting impact Saito has had on the entire community. I mean, yeah.
The other thing is, any of you out there who are interested in just random standard decks appearing in your news stream, follow him on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
He's just constantly posting decks. And he is one of the best deck builders in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Back to Huey and John Stern. Turn 1 Tormented Hero for William Jensen.
And that's the Tormented Hero he took over the Farika's Mender.
Which tabled, just like it was supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, great read by Huey on the table, and now it's tons of pressure being applied. Stern we saw curve out very nicely last game, but, I mean, Jensen in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad. Huey did not get the play draw choice, despite being the number 2 seed in the tournament.
Goodness.
They do random pairings for the top 8 of a limited GP, and yeah, he randomly got paired against the 1 seed in the semi. I mean, bracketed so that he would run into John in the semi.
Now we see the second turn Kiora's follower, very powerful just as it was in game 1, but now that he's on the draw, it's not going to be able to play any defense.
No turn 3 play for Jensen, though.
Yeah. But it looks like there's a Hippocamp in Stern's hand. Can't quite make out anything else. Got another land.
Did he get a retraction helix for all these untapped shenanigans or no?
That is a great question, and we do have the answer to it. Checking his Born of the Gods
Golden Hind and
now.
Deepwater Hypnotist
No,
hit the board.
He's got Divination, Deepwater Hypnotist, 2 Floodtide Serpents in his sideboard, but no bounce spell. No retraction heal.
Jensen just keeps turning him sideways. You want to trade? Fine. I mean, my guys, their job was to come down quickly, deal pressure, and if they trade for your cards, that's fine.
Yeah, you definitely can't complain about Tormented Hero doing 4 damage and trading with a 2-mana creature for 1 mana.
Right.
And if Jensen has Necrobite right now, not only does he kill a creature, but he gets to level up some of his attackers.
Nope, no trick. Stern offers 1 exchange, so he's willing to trade Hypnotist for Bloodcraze Hoplite. That makes sense.
Well, and now the
How
tide
many
is shifted.
37 mana does John Stern have access to now?
John Stern has access
Turn 4, he has access to at least 5, maybe 6 mana.
Unbounded mana, and Jensen just not a lot of follow-up to his aggressive start.
True.
Looking to see if Jensen did the enchantment thing we were talking about. We saw him with 2 Krufixes inside, but he's left those in the sideboard, so just a lot more traditional of a black-green deck.
All right, Oathsworn is the play for John Stern. And then representing any number of 2-mana tricks.
Right.
And Huey just attacks into it.
It doesn't look like Huey has a bunch of lands in his hand. It just looks like he didn't have anything to do on turn 3 and 4.
All right, Oathsworn, and yeah, here's a trick. Curious Follower untaps a forest, enabling Savage Surge, but there's Lash of the Whip.
That was a pretty greedy Savage Surge, in my opinion. I mean, 5 mana from Jensen, you know, hasn't done anything turn 3 and 4, but has a handful of cards. I mean, there is a lot that can go wrong.
And it did. That was a big swing.
It was a huge swing.
I mean, Stern could have just done nothing and let the 2 creatures trade, and then Huey's board is, what, blank?
Yeah, essentially.
Instead, he got 2 for 1. 2 good cards, too. Oathsworn and Savage Surge traded for just the 1 Lash of the Whip.
And it really allows Huey's Lash of the Whip to do something meaningful. I mean, you really don't want to be sitting there lashing of the Whip, Golden Hind, and Kiora's Follower.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stern doesn't have another land drop, so he still has plenty of spells in his hand. Might be saying, okay, whatever, I'll bait a Lash of the Whip, but, I mean, you've got to be really excited about that exchange if you're Huey.
Yeah, Fleet Feather Cockatrice.
Oh, man.
At instant speed in the middle of combat, thereby, oh, there's a second Lash of the Whip.
Yeah. I mean, and I see, if you're Stern, you're saying, okay, I'm going to draw out a removal spell so my Cockatrice survives. But
yeah, no, the funny part is I saw an Asphyxiate in there, too, which was the sorcery. Like, I thought the Cockatrice had effectively dodged Asphyxiate, but can't dodge Lash of the Whip.
And this Tormented Hero just going the distance for Huey. Taking away half of Stern's life
all
total.
10 or did the Hoplite hit once?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
it's
you're
done
right.
8 of the 10?
I think you're right. The Hoplite hit him 1 time. Because he didn't block with Kiora's Follower, understandably. Now, the mana producers doing battle.
Stern ships the turn. He showed us Hippocamp last game.
And Grizzly,
kind of what he's representing.
Yeah, it is. Grizzly Transformation in Huey's hand, deals a damage, gains him a life, gives him an evasive attacker, 5 attacks. I mean, we saw how powerful that was last game.
I'm attacking right through your Breaching Hippocamp. Not willing to trade my Tormented Hero for your 4-mana creature.
For your
attacking
horse.
Right through it.
Now, Stern's instants are effectively allowing him to play around this Asphyxiate from Billy's side.
True.
And this is 7 power. I mean, Billy's at 15 mana, so this attack plus anything is basically 2 swings and lethal for John Stern. See, unravel the ether there in Billy's hand, not really accomplishing a whole lot. He's got 2 mana open in case Stern does play an enchantment.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Interestingly, tapping Kiora's Follower before Golden Hind. Oh, big raise by wolves. That's going to, if it resolves, give Stern 2 2/2s. So Unravel the Ether can get rid of the raise by wolves, but by then it has already done its damage. Oh, is that a Gray Merchant in Jensen's hand?
Really? Wow. Is that lethal? It is. No, one short.
The 1, 2, 3, 4. Man. Wow.
Oh, Feast of Dreams. Jeez. John Stern just getting 2 for 1 to everywhere. That's more like 1.5 for 1, I guess.
Yeah.
Takes 4.
I mean, Raised by Wolves kind of a 3 for 1 in and of itself, but does allow Jensen to stabilize. And I mean, and Jensen, you know, an attack and a Gray Merchant, that is the game. So we're just going to have to see if he's able to do that, if he's able to keep that Grizzly Transformation on the board.
Yeah, Gray Merchant. Does it now. Puts Stern at 1. Stern gets to untap. Can you deal 17? Can't imagine you can deal 17. Can you kill my intimidated creature? That's not easy to do in a blue-green deck.
Now, is it Stern with the 3 time defeat?
It is, actually. Yes, time to feed would be the answer. Not easy to do in a green-blue deck, but that is the card that does it the most.
And yeah, I mean, it's still like you were saying. He would still have to opt in to 2-for-1ing himself yet again to be able to do that.
You do what you got to do.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, it's better than dying, but Stern definitely has fallen behind a few times. I would have to guess so.
That has the feel of a Desperation Alpha Strike, and even if you've got something, it's
Why
not dead. Yeah,
why
Grey
did
Merchant's not
Grey
dead.
Merchant hit the Ben? Yeah.
Yeah. Stern does not have time to feed.
Yep, definitely would have cast it.
All right, so he's going to attack with the Grizzly transformation. Stern's probably just making him go through the motions here. How much bounce does Stern have?
He has got, I believe, Hubris.
Yeah, he does have hubris. So Huey has to decide whether he wants to.
Oh.
I'll just asphyxiate my own tormented hero. Trigger, deal you the 1 damage. That is beautiful. Like, I don't want to play, none of this. Do I attack? How many do I attack with? Are you going to bounce? None of those shenanigans. That's cool.
That is a different kind of board from the last game we saw. Saito and 0-4 Murdoch, Hythonia the Cruel, Blood Toll Harpy, Farika's Chosen.
Saito's got more than an 0-4. There's a chain on that mountain. Something has been chained. Oh, Divine Verdict takes care of Hythonia. All right.
Archetype of aggression, not attacking into the 0-4. With authority, Saito drawing a card. Yeah.
No. All right. Both of these semifinal matches go into Game 3.
A lot of great shuffling on television as we cut to the live look. And apparently the two players timing themselves pretty synchronously because it seems like every time I look up, players are just shuffling cards.
How many people in this room do you think would have asphyxiated their own tormented hero there? Right, you've got the lethal attack, but like the way to play around the most possible cards, the only thing that beats you there is instant speed life gain, which basically no one has.
Yeah, and yeah, you've got to see that play, but
yeah, how many people see that play?
Not a whole lot.
I'd
say probably 5 to 10% of the field maximum.
I bet the under.
You bet the under.
I would bet the under. I mean, I'm not saying he's the only one, but
I also may have been interpreting your question
field.
Relatively literally and thinking players in the room right now.
Oh, players in the room right now? Fair, yeah.
Which includes this top 8 or top 4, I guess.
Fair enough.
No, I completely see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show why Huey has 7 top 8s this season. Not a lot gets by him.
3 Grand Prix wins, 15 Grand Prix top 8s, a Pro Tour win, 4 Pro Tour top 8s.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
And does pretty well in the independent circuit, too. I mean, when he came back with a vengeance.
Definitely.
There's a lot of buzz around, oh, man, Billy Jensen's playing again. Masters Series giant back in the day. I mean, yeah, just truly one of the all-time greats.
Yeah. It took him a while to get in the Hall of Fame, too. He was on the ballot and failing to get in for several years. It was really Finkel that started championing his cause.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of the case for Huey when he actually got voted in was just raw talent. There was a period of several years where he was arguably the most talented person slinging cardboard.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe number 2 behind Kai, probably ahead of John. Like, he was the guy that John Finkel and Bob Maher would go to ask for advice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure I played this right. What would you do?
That is a pretty ringing endorsement when you're the guy John goes to for advice.
Yeah, but he's only, quote unquote, only got the 4 PT top 8s. If you weren't around back then to see just how sharp he actually was, a lot of people just didn't know they were supposed to vote for him.
When he's also got, it's interesting when you look at statistics, because Grand Prix top 8s is another statistic. Now there's just so many Grand Prix. I mean, it's still a major achievement to top 8 one of these. But back when there were, 12 Grand Prix a year, those I think Huey had 3 or 4 Grand Prix top 8s in addition prior to
when he got voted in, I think he had
6
6 or 7 or 8 because he's got 15 now, 7 this season. Maybe I don't know how many he had before he got voted in.
So 7 or 8.
It was like half a dozen, but I mean
a lot in a different.
It was
era.
only the first couple of years that there were 12. It was more like 20 for most of his career, I think. Early 2000s, when they 20. I mean, half as many as now. Not
so not
the tiny fraction of the first few years of the Pro Tour. Well, first few years. First Grand Prix was late season 2.
Right.
And then there were just a couple in season 3. Season 3, season 4, they really got cranked up. Kiora's follower for John Stern.
Well,
On the
if
play here in Game 3.
Stern keeps opening like that. He's
He
going to
played
do
that
pretty well in
all
this
three
top 8.
games.
That's why you draft the card, is
Yeah.
to cast it. But
Huey's 2-2 doesn't seem as good somehow.
and Stern again, we see 4 mana on turn 3. A lot he can make happen. Yep. And we've seen this opening before, and it worked out very, very well for John Stern.
No card Triad. +1/+1 to the follower. Now it can get through for 3.
A lot of mediocre creatures in Huey's hand right now. He's got a Fell-Eyed Minotaur. He's got a Flesh Mad Steed. He's got a vanilla 2/2 Grizzly Bear effectively on the board. Eye Gouge would have done good work last game. See a lot of 2/1s on Stern side. Deepwater, Hypnotist, Golden Hind, but nothing that it kills right now. You can attack into that Triad. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nyx Infusion takes down the follower. That seems good.
Yeah, I agree with that play. Don't want your opponent out that many mana ahead of you for that many turns. And still, life totals 15 to 20 in Stern's favor. 4 mana to 3. Stern has initiative, and we've seen he can do an awful lot at instant speed. Might be setting up a Hippocamp on that 2/3. I can't imagine Billy's going to just run into it without anything to do.
Yeah, Hippocamp to untap Oakheart. Breaching Hippocamp. This is the dream when you play Breaching Hippocamp. I'm going to untap my guy and eat your attacker.
Right. We see that Eye Gouge, of course, in Jensen's hand. Going to make sure his creature doesn't just straight up die, but...
Well, you allow the block.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, allow the block, and indeed, that's a pretty good Eye Gouge.
And a lot of the time, casting down on the 4th turn can really disrupt your sequence of plays, but Jensen has a horse.
Not when your hand is as bad as Huey's.
An excellent point. He's opting to play the horse over the Fell-Eyed Minotaur.
Well, he'll block. He'd rather block and trade with Hippocamp.
Yep.
Plays
Makes
2/3. It's not as good a trade.
That's a good point.
Another play that not everyone would see. Most people tend to just spend all their mana.
Oh, yeah,
I should play the 3-drop. I have the mana, so I should play the 3-drop. No? I'm planning to block. Which one would you rather have next turn?
And I mean,
the 2/2 that you can't control, or the 2/3?
That's got to be at least something of a semi-bluff by John. I mean, he just attacked the 3/2 into the 2/2.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and Huey blocked. Huey said call. He absolutely called the bluff there.
Yep. And here we go.
Second Hippocamp.
A lot of horse on the battlefield. Fish horses, regular
Bull
horses.
Oh, that particular horse has been raised by wolves. Not quite sure how that works.
Yeah, aquatic wolves. I don't know. Maybe it washed up on shore.
Somehow the result is a 5/4 attacking.
Yeah,
now what?
Theros has intriguing biology.
Got it. That's why there's all those myths.
And Jensen, all the way down to 10, you know, he's had quality blocks, he's had good plays, but...
Yeah, I feel like given the quality of the cards that he's had, he has traded brilliantly. But now he's got to figure out how to deal with a 5/4.
Yeah, and a pair of 2/2s that goes with it.
Yeah, Raised by Wolves, by far the best card that's been played.
Yeah. And we saw Jensen able to get rid of the Kiora's follower early with Nyx Infusion. Still traded 3 mana for 2, but...
Smash.
Now, yeah, Huey getting in there. And the more Stern blocks with the Wolves, of course, it shrinks the Hippocamp.
Yep,
so.
I think that's what Huey's hoping for. And since that's what Huey wants him to do, John's got to be pretty tempted to just take 4.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, John's way ahead on life. He isn't really pressured to block. On the other hand, if you know, able to trade essentially a card for 2 cards by blocking, assuming nothing goes wrong, it's pretty tempting to take that.
Yeah, if you lose both the Wolves though, now the Hippocamp trades with Minotaur.
Yeah, I don't hate blocking with maybe one, so that way the Hippocamp's still big enough, but it looks like he's just going to say, okay, I'll eat your board.
Interesting. Yeah, now the Hippocamp trades with Minotaur. I'm not in love with that.
Yeah,
no follow-up from Jensen.
I really like just having access to a 4-3, maybe blocking the Hoplite.
Yeah, I feel like I would have blocked one. I think I would have blocked Hoplite.
I mean, I can say I definitely understand if you're Stern wanting to preserve your life total as much as you can, given how savage that Gray Merchant has been in this match.
All right, well, pin to the earth means the Hippocamp does get to keep attacking. So that having pinned to the earth does make John's blocks make more sense. Able to knock Huey to 7.
Fell-eyed Minotaur sitting there as a lowly 0-3. Not really doing a whole lot. And Hippocamp doing what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
Huey, I think, trying to decide whether he wants to lash of the whip, the Hippocamp, or if he wants to chump block. We got to block at some point, so.
Keeping it in play makes your future Gray Merchant a little bigger.
Yep.
Holds off any future 2-2s.
Completely.
I mean, he's down to 7, but there is value in having the 0-3.
Yeah, I agree with you. Having the extra black mana symbol could be really important. Prevents Stern from casting a bestow creature next turn and making the horse even bigger.
All right. Feast of Dreams.
Interestingly,
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Hubris. Fizzles the Feast of Dreams, and he gets to pick the Raised by the Wolves back up again. Huge hubris from John Stern there.
I was going to say that Raised by Wolves, which was effectively doing nothing, was a pretty big liability for Stern, but that was one of the better hubrises you can imagine casting.
No second blue mana from John. He has been stuck on just the one.
Yeah, and no targets for Raised by Wolves, even if he had the 5th mana.
I think Huey just drew a Lash, too. So this Raised from the Wolves, Time to Feed was John Stern's draw.
And John has a grip full of cards. I didn't quite realize exactly how loaded his hand is.
Gray Merchant for Billy.
Yeah.
All right, I assume he's not going to play Gray Merchant. He's going to leave up Lash. He knows about the Hippocamp. He knows about the Raised by Wolves. So Stern seems likely to end step out the Hippocamp, untap, and then go to enchant it.
And I think what you have to do if you're Huey is just kill the Hippocamp at the end of the turn before he gets to untap.
Really?
Well, I mean, the thing is...
You don't want to try to 2-for-1 him?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Stern casting it here.
I think you have to be greedy. Like, your opponent's got to... I don't know. I feel like Billy's a little bit behind, right? It's 18-7. He knows his opponent has a couple of good cards. It's got to be pretty tempting to get greedy and go for the 2-for-1. All right. John declines to enchant it, so fine. Kill it in combat. That makes sense.
Yeah. And there's that, I guess Stern would have to have 2 pump spells in order to keep it alive through the Lash.
And now John apparently doesn't have a creature, so we know he's got a Raised by the Wolves in his hand, but he didn't play creature there. Huey goes for his Gray Merchant.
Not the greatest Gray Merchant ever, but you definitely want to have a threat when your opponent doesn't.
Yeah, it's a blank board, too.
Right, exactly. So we see times to feed in Stern's hand. We know about the Raised by the Wolves. You don't really want to Raised by Wolves the Gray Merchant. Doesn't really get you very far ahead.
He's creature screwed.
I'm dying to know what's in John's hand right now.
Does he have his Prognostic Sphinx and no second blue?
Yeah,
that
maybe it's
painful.
maybe it's just a bunch of double blue cards.
Post-combat Grizzly transformation.
All right, 7 more attacks from the Gray Merchant. Slowly but surely. No shortage of mana of both colors for...
Was that Oathsworn?
Setessan Oathsworn?
I thought that, I saw a flash of it.
It looked to me like a Nylea's Emissary, but I don't even know if that's in John's deck.
He's got a Forest in his hand, too. I may have just seen the Forest art.
It looks like a couple of times to feed.
was
There it
successful
is.
Oathsworn, which is spectacular with time to feed. I guess the first one doesn't actually kill the Gray Merchant.
Right. Yeah, Huey has exactly 5 mana open, so still representing the threat of that second lash, but I think you have to go for raised right now. I mean, if Huey has 2 lashes, I mean, you can't just let the Raised by Wolves sit there in your hand.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
John Stern does indeed. He goes for it. He has to. Raised by Wolves, puts the resolve successfully. The Oathsworn gets 2 counters. The 2 Wolves come into play. All of a sudden, that's a 5/5 and a pair of 2/2s. Asphyxiate is Huey's removal spell. Good enough. Down to the pair of 2/2s, which might be good enough to keep Gray Merchant on defense.
I think so.
9 playing 14?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you can trade 2 for 4 here if you're Billy. You also know that your opponent has a grip full of cards and hasn't been doing anything, so you have to expect it's at least 1 pump spell. When you're at 9, you know, that I mean, he's threatening a lot of damage.
Probably hasn't figured out there's 3 time defeats in John Stern's deck. Have we even seen 1 happen?
Yeah, I mean, there just hasn't been a particularly good time to cast it for John. Oh, man, big second blue mana.
We presume.
Right,
We don't actually know.
right, potentially big. At the very least opens up options. Gray Merchant, an awkward card for a blue-green deck. A lot of your ways of controlling creatures are to bounce them, but you don't really want to return that card to your opponent's hand. We see him tanking. Doesn't reveal that he has the second island, if that matters. Times to feed, not going to really do a lot right now. Is that a Curse of the Swine?
He does run Curse of the Swine in his deck. Downgrade Gray Merchant into a 2/2.
Yeah, I don't
It's pretty
hate
relevant
it.
here.
Yeah.
Downgrade your 2/4 Intimidate to a 2/2.
That way Stern can just attack with both and start getting a clock right now.
And Huey trades with 1. All right. Jensen down to 7.
I still don't really know about that. I mean, you know, what happens if Jensen draws like a 3/3 right now, you know?
I think he just drew Spiteful Returned.
Oh, wow.
Which would have been insane on that intimidating Gray Merchant.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything when you're losing the race to a 2/2.
So an aggressive play by Stern, but yeah, I mean, with Huey at 9 life, you got to be able to capitalize on this board state.
Yeah, Huey waited a turn on this Spiteful Return. He may put John on exactly time to feed, which just eats the Spiteful Return before he gets in an attack.
And he's got enough mana to be able to draw something and bestow Spiteful Return, which give him a blocker.
That is his preference. He's trying to figure out whether he needs to just run it out as a 1/1.
The thing is, there's not that much that can kill Huey on the attack. If John has a Fleet Feather Cockatrice, you're dead anyway.
Sure.
So yeah, I think you're going to trade because there's a bunch of Savage Surge variants, but they don't really kill you.
All right, well, here's Spiteful Returns. And...
Oh, okay.
Oh, he can enchant Baleful Eidolon onto Spiteful
That
Return.
makes a lot of sense.
So he waited a turn, got a second. Now he's created a 2/2 Death Toucher.
And that makes it really, really hard to cast Time to Feed.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the Death Touch does beat Time to Feed. And attacking, he'll trade in a heartbeat.
And then, right, it would be Huey with the creature and John with no board.
I mean, it'll be a 1/1 Death Toucher and John's on 14.
Yeah, sure.
But Huey has stabilized successfully.
Right, right.
Second Raised by the Wolves. Both Raised by the Wolves have been a slog, but
yeah.
How many cards has he thrown at those 2 copies of Raised by Wolves? Like 5?
Tons.
Yeah, Huey blocks. Baleful Eidolon falls off. Now what?
I mean, both of these players have 2-for-1 one another several times.
Yes.
It's a true battle of attrition.
But Huey's given no windows for time to feed.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of the cards in Stern's hand just not achieving a lot. I mean, and what could have happened is Huey just sees them in the draft, knows some green grass.
That smells like Fleet Feather Cockatrice.
No.
And that monstrous ability is lethal.
Big, big play for
William
Stern.
Jensen needs an instant speed way to deal with a Fleet Feather Cockatrice, or he is out in the semis.
Stern obviously wanting to go through his options right now, but I think you have to attack and just monstrous this creature. Yep.
Monstrous? There's the hand. Wow, John Stern.
Big win for Stern. Just taking cockatrice, going all in on it, paying off as he's going to make the finals here at Grand Prix Atlanta.
Indeed. William Jensen's great run ends short of the finals. Did pick up a pro point. He's still platinum, but not instant platinum. John Stern will be playing in the finals against the winner of this match. This is game 3. That is Tomoharu Saito on the left of your screen. And it is our Cinderella, Charlie Murdoch, on the right.
See Charlie with a Gray Merchant, Bolt of Karanos, a lot of good cards in the bin. For Saito, a lot of good cards on the battlefield.
Yeah.
The lead skirmisher, Eidolon of Countless
Oh,
Battles,
wow.
a
I think this is game 3, right? This isn't still the
yes,
game 2
it is
we're
game
watching?
3.
Okay.
And yeah,
Is
I mean,
Skull Cleaver
gonna be
coming
a
down?
huge attack for Saito.
Looks like just the Skull Cleaver. He must be low.
Yeah.
Low enough that he needs to play defense.
Which one can imagine seeing a Gray Merchant, a bunch of black permanents, and
Right.
an aggressive deck.
I mean, he's got Eidolon of the Countless Battles, and he's got a 3/7 Lagana Band
Jeez.
Trailblazer. You'd think, but wow, both players must be low.
Yeah.
Blood Toil Harpy just trades for Skull Cleaver.
And Saito got to be feeling a little bit more stable now that Flyer's gone.
What is that? What is enchanting the Bloodcrazed Hoplite?
It's a Nyxborn Eidolon, yeah.
So it can't even block?
Nyxborn Eidolon is
Oh, I'm
just the
thinking
straight
of
up
Scar High.
2-1.
This
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
the 2/1 without the drawback.
Very
Right.
similar.
Right.
to Nyxborn. So you see another Lash of the Whip over there in Charlie's deck. But
Which Eidolon is giving +3, so it does kill the Skirmisher, but the Eidolon falls into play as a 2/2. Oh, whoa, Chain to the Rocks. Chain to the Rocks is adding to the Eidolon of Countless
man.
Battles. So that's +4, which means the Skirmisher is out of Lash of the Whip range.
Technically an aura. It's not even technically, it just is an aura. But you're used to thinking of auras as going
Pretty
on
much.
creatures. We saw a peak eruption going around. I wonder if Charlie got it.
Corruption would be some tech right here.
Huge. Looks like a Lash from the Whip, a Drown in Sorrow. That is the opposite of good right now.
All right, Flash does not actually kill. Did I do the math wrong?
1,
1, 2, 3, 4. Why isn't it getting +4, +4?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Saito thought it died and Charlie corrects him?
Good guy, Charlie.
Yeah. I mean, that's what those hand signals look like. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but...
Oh,
no,
wow.
Charlie thought it killed it. Charlie was wrong. Charlie was mistaken, and then maybe the table judge pointed it out.
Oh, wow.
Both players may have missed the Chain to the Rocks.
Just
I caught it. The judge caught it.
I mean, but that is just huge. Charlie just throwing away a Lash
Yeah,
from the
that's
Whip for
obviously
basically
not
no
good.
reason, and essentially tapping out. So now Saito doesn't have to play around anything, and this could be a big moment for Saito.
Wow.
Yep.
Swift Claw,
Yep.
Spear Point, pump my guy up.
And with Charlie at 6, yeah, Saito had to play around that Lash for the Whip. Could have used it just to shrink these creatures, even if it didn't kill him.
True. So now Charlie's on 6. Yeah, he's obliged to block the Skirmisher. I mean, unless that single red mana is a relevant thing. He's obliged to block Skirmisher. Trailblazer hits him to 3, down to 3. Okay, the Eidolon falls off, but this sure looks like Tomoharu Saito's game.
Saito, is he really at 25 life?
It's not like Huey was at 25 and that's left over.
Yeah, huh.
His attack last turn looks very conservative given that, but yeah, there's the handshake.
Jeez.
Nothing Charlie Murdoch can do. So Tomoharu Saito. It's been a while since he won a Grand Prix. He says, I'm back. I took a forced sabbatical, lost my Pro Tour Gravy Train status, but I want it back. Grand Prix top 8, number 19, looking for win number 5.
5 Grand Prix wins is a mind-blowing number.
It is. It is. You know who's got the most?
Who has the most?
I'm pretty sure it's Kai.
Oh, yeah.
He also has 7 Grand Prix wins.
In addition to his infinite Pro
7
Tour
Pro Tour
wins?
wins. I think he's got 7 of each.
Goodness.
I'm going from memory. I might be wrong, but I think it's 7 of each. There's your bracket.